Okay, so Lamed Gimel Lamed Aleph. So we asked the question: Where is this? Where's the source of Rebbe holding that basically that the Ben Hashma and I'm sorry, the Rebbe and the Chacham arguing about this din of Ben Hashmoshos, my Rebbe, my Rabbanan. So he brought in the case of the basket. We spoke about above 10. The Erev not being valid, below 10, the Erev being valid, okay, below 3, the Erev being valid, because you're actually allowed to take it, and then we came up with the basket case, and then in the basket case, we said even if it's above 10, the Erev is an Erev. Okay, that's Rebbe, and then the Chum argued and says, they were not clear about their argument, but they just said, any case you can't take the Erev, Erev. Okay, so let's just read it again. Even though we did the first line, we're just going to read it. We'll start from Ilema. So what exactly are the Chachamim coming to argue about? So it's 2, 4, 6 lines from the bottom of Lamed Gimel Lamed Aleph. So what exactly are they saying? In which case are they going on? Ilema Seifa. If they're going on the Seifa with the basket case and they're arguing about the situation of Rebbe saying that if you hang the basket even above 10 tefachim, it's going to be valid, despite the fact that it's hanging on a wall. And the Rabbanon who say it's invalid if you're trying to say they argue because that even if it's a basket which is hanging on the tree and it's considered like a tree, if that's what they hold, well, that can't be. We said yesterday, he says, is that trying to imply that things from the side, things hung on connected to the tree, on the sides of a tree are asur? Okay, can't be. Because as Rashi explained, because if that's the case, then this should have been a source for determining who holds what in this issue. And we didn't bring in this Mishnah in that situation back in Gemara Shabbos. When we're looking for an opinion, we had various opinions, but never quoted from here. And this would have been a biggie because a Chamim would have been, majority opinion. So why are we searching around and groping around for opinion when we had one right here? Must be since the Gemara did not bring that opinion in. That's not the case that the Rabbanan are going on. So that's where we were yesterday. So now ready to advance another couple of lines here, which is pretty much the best you can do in a sugya like this. Ela Reisha. But rather the Chachamim are coming to discuss and argue on the Reisha. So what exactly are they arguing about? So Ha Ilan Hechidami. Okay, so if they're arguing on the case of the Reisha, let's take a look at Rashi. Ela Reisha. Ela Reisha Kaim Rabbanan. Okay, the Rabbanan are going on the Reisha when they said, since you can't access it, it can't be a good Erev. The Kama Rebbe Nasabila Lamatim Esar Eruv Erev. Rebbe said that if you put the Erev below 10, it is a valid Erev of Asur Litlo, but you're not allowed to take it because, of course, you can't take something from Rishus Rabim to a. You can't take something. You can't take something from a tree on Shabbos. You're not allowed to take it. Rabbanon argue and say. But what's Rebbe's point? Even though you're not allowed to actually take it on Shabbos, since Ben Hashmoshos, you could have taken it because you're allowed to use a tree Ben Hashmoshos according to Rebbe. That's the reason why the Erev is good. And on that position, Rabbanan answer back in Rashi, Avagav dehu ve'eruve b'shus rabim. Granted, him and his Erev on Rishus Rabim, which should qualify as a valid Erev, even the Asalitlo b'Shabbos, but you can't access it on Shabbos. You can't take that Erev down on Shabbos and eat the challah, mishum ilon, because of the tree, Asalitlo ben Hashmoshos. Because of the tree, you're not allowed to take it even ben Hashmoshos, shu suffik, which is a doubtful time. Ve'eruv Erev, and it's not an Erev. Okay, so bottom line is, we see from here that since Rabbanan, the only case that's feasible for the Rabbanan to argue that makes sense is the case of the ninth Fachim, where you and the Erev are both in Rishus Rabim, and therefore it should be mutter to bring it to you. But since you're not allowed to use a tree, Bein Hashmoshos, the fact that you in other words, Rebbe's position is obviously argued upon by the Rabbanan, and they say yes, Ben Hashmashos is the key time, but we're not going to allow you to do these things Ben Hashmashos. It's like Suffolk Shabbos, and as Suffolk Shabbos, you have to be machmir. Okay, so at this point we have now.
So what's the difference in this case with the prior cases where so that was the whole reason why the Eruv was okay, was because even though you couldn't get to the food on Shabbos, but you could get it at Hashmashos. So
right
now
because this
can't.
right because this is the Rabbanon. That's exactly the point. That was Rebbe. Every time we use that, we always said Rebbe. We quoted Rebbe. So Rebbe Taka holds that way. And Rebbe Taka seems to be the halacha, it follows Rebbe. But here we've now shown that the Rabbanon, who argue in this Mishnah with Rebbe, it's a Tanya. Sorry, it's a Brisa. The Rabbanon, the Chacham who argue with Rebbe in this Brisa are the ones that are the counter position of not buying into the Ben Hashmashos concept, and therefore they say, you know what, if it's also on Shabbos, it's also Ben Hashmashos, and the Erev is not valid. So every time, yeah, go ahead.
So based on that, then all those previous Erevs are also being valid.
According to the Chacham, correct, which is exactly why the Gemara always said it follows Rebbe. It follows Rebbe. Okay, so it needs to embrace Rebbe's position, which happens to be seemingly that's the halach that we talk to follow Rebbe in this area. Okay, so now we're actually good right now. Okay, if we stop right now, we wouldn't be left, hanging. Okay, not on a tree or not on anything else, but we're still not clear about certain things. So we're going to look at it a little bit further. Okay, we want to tap into every issue here. Ela Aresh, one second. So hi Elon Hechidami. So now there's a new question. The case of the tree that was mentioned in the Brisa, what exactly is the case? Hi Elon Hechidami. If the branch on the tree, which is above 10 tfachim, is not 4 tfachim wide, makam paturhu. Well, then that tree, that branch is a makam patur. As a makam patur, you should be able to access it because you're allowed to take something from makam patur to a rishus harabim. So why would halacha be that the Erev is not good? The Erev should be good because it's in a place which allows you to take it. Okay, makam paturu. V'deisbe abba. So, and if we're talking about a surface that is 4 tfachim, which becomes rishus hayachid, which therefore makes it that it's inaccessible. Now we'll explain the first case. Well, now I got a problem with the last case. The last case of the kalkala, kinasa kalkala mayave, the basket that was above 10 tfachim, big deal that it's in a separate basket. Why should that be good? It's still rishus hayachid. Okay, because we're talking about surfaces that have a surface area of more than 4 tfachim by 4 tfachim. So I don't understand how the ratio could be no good, and yet now the kalkala above 10 tfachim is good. What's the difference between the branch being 4 by 4 versus the basket being 4 by 4? At the end of the day, they're both rishus hayachid. Let's catch up on the Rashis here. Okay, he says Ida Lespa, right? So about 6-7 lines up. Ida Lespa Bar Rochev, if it's less than 4 tfachim wide, makam paturhu. Okay, then the branch should be considered makam patur. The chol pachs mirochav dalid, anything that's less than 4 wide, kaimlam b'tzias Shabbos, lav rishus from the atzma. Right? It needs to be at least 4 by 4 to be viewed as a rishus onto itself. And if it's not 4 by 4, that's called a makam patur. Okay, ubatel eitz rishus rabim, eitz rishus yachid, it becomes nullified to the rishus rabim or to the rishus yachid, whatever it's in. One second. It might be b'neim if it's standing there. Kedam as we said in Gemara Shabbos, made adam ala skufa. A person could be standing on a elevated stage. Notamina ani v'nosin mibalabayis, nosin v'nosin lo. He says notamina ani v'nosin lo mibalabayis. You can either take it from the ani, or you can give it to him from the balabais. One second, one more time. Omir adam askufa, no tamina ani v'nosin lo Mi balabais v'nosen lo. Right? You can either take it from the ani and give it to the balabais. You can take it from the balabais and give it to the ani. Afil isur rabbanon leka. Right? If you're on a makom patur, then there's not even an isur rabbanon because you're going first to a makom patur. V'acha kinosen l'mayla mi'asara. And here, when you gave it above 10 lav b'shus yachid, if it's in an area not 4x4, it's not a rishus yachid. Why is the eruv not considered valid? He would be allowed to take it to rishus rabim. Okay, now I think we said, just to correct a statement I just made, I think you're allowed to either you can take one or the other. I think the Gemara there says you can't actually facilitate the shtick to take it from rishus yachid to rishus rabim through the makom patur. I think they tell you can't do that rabbinically, but certainly I can either take it from the makom patur to the balabais or take it from the ani and give it and leave it with me. But I think there we qualify it, but certainly not on the Raisidical level. Okay, but the point is, why in the world should it be prohibited to take the Eruv, to use the Eruv if it's above 10 on a place less than 4? So it must be Reishad is Beidalid. We have no choice but to say that the Reishad is speaking about a case where it does have 4 tfachim. And that's why above 10 it's not a good Eruv, do b'shus Rab, Eruv b'shus Yachid. Because he's standing in Rishus Rabim, and the Eruv is in Rishus Yachid. So, if that's the case, so why, when it comes to the basket, if it's also 4 tfachim, then what's the deal? Why is it a valid Eruv? It should be no different than the Rishus Yachid. So what's going on here? Okay, so we have the question, now let's get to the answer. So let's go back to the Gemara. Ravina. So our good friend Ravina, one of the latest Amoraim, comes up with the answer. And 2 lines from the bottom. Reisha de Izbe Arba, Sefer de Lesbe Arba. Okay, in other words, even though you'd like to keep things uniform, not in this brisa. In this brisa, things are not uniform. The Reisha is a case of 4 tfachim, clear as day. The Sefer is a case where it's not 4 tfachim, but there's a but there, that there's going to be an ability to connect it to make it 4 tfachim through the basket. By combining the width of the basket to the width of the branch that it's leaning on, that would be able to make it 4. And let's see what that does. Let's read it through. Ravina, Reisha diz be'arba, sefer de les be'arba. V'kilkala mashimasa le'arba. And the basket completes it to make it 4 tfachim. Okay, let's just read a little bit more in the Gemara, and we'll go back into the Rashis. Let's turn the page. V'Rebbe Savala Krav Meir v'Savala Krav Yehuda. And in order to make this halacha make sense of why the basket is considered a valid Eruv, Rebbe needs to adopt 2 different halachic positions that are controversial a little bit. Okay, that are not universally accepted. What are those 2 positions? Savala Krav Meir, he holds like Rav Meir, the Omar Chaykikin Lahashlim. Our good friend Rav Meir, who told us already by the laws of Mezuzah, that you're allowed to carve out, you can, on an imaginary basis, you carve out the space of the wall to make it wide enough for the Eruv by the what's that called? The slope, not the slope, the arc. The arc, that limited, that didn't allow for the shear of 10 by 4, but if it was 10 tfachim high, you can carve out the arc to make it 10 by 4. So he holds of this concept of chaykin lahashlim. So that's number 1. In addition to the holding chaykin lahashlim, the Savla Krav Yehuda don't be an eruv al gai makam arba. And then the Veleka, he also holds like Rabbi Yehuda, who says that you must put your eruv on a place of 4 by 4. And if you don't, Veleka, if you don't have it 4 by 4, it's not a good eruv. So if you hold with those 2 principles, it will explain why the basket case is good. Okay, hopefully it doesn't turn us into basket cases. But if you take these 2 ideas and put them together, then that will explain Rebbe's position of why he says the basket case is good. Now we got to go back to Rashi and explain this. So, Seifa Yeah. So right, last Rashi on the page, or the second to last Rashi. Okay, Reishad is Beidalid. Right, we did that. I'm sorry, we did that. Seifa, the less Beidalid. Okay, the Seifa is a case where there is no 4 tfachim in the basket by itself. And that's why it's not considered Rishus HaYachid. V'kekol the nokat. Okay, the reason why we spoke about a basket to make it a case where it's valid, because Rebbe Yehuda, the Omar Eruv Haminiach L'mayla Miyud Love Eruv. Okay, because he holds like Rebbe Yehuda, who says that an Eruv that's placed above Yud Tfachim is not a good Eruv. Even if he intended to acquire his dwelling place above 10, he wants to hang out in the trees. He wants to pull a Tarzan this Shabbos and live in the trees. So he wants his abode to be right up there above 10 tfachim in the tree. So why in the world is it not good if he is together with his Eruv? Elim ke munach al gabe mokam arba. There's a new technicality that we need. That we need the Eruv to rest on a place which is significant. And just like when you put something down, you can't put it down on a place less than 4 for the laws of Shabbos to kick in, for the laws of carrying to kick in, because you need hanoch al gabi mokam dalid. Eruv is no different. And an Eruv needs a place of 4. So you might be in the branches, and the Eruv might be in the branches, but if the branch is less than 4 tfachim, it's not going to be good enough because it's not a choshev place for your Eruv to be dwelling upon. Okay, Hilkach. Let's finish the Rashi. Hilkach, ilav kilkola. Had it not been, did somebody say something? No. Okay, Hilkach, ilav kilkola. If it wouldn't be for the basket, leka eruv agabi makam arba. In other words, the basket is your saving grace here because the branch itself is 3 by 3, so that's not going to cut it. But if you got a basket like we saw in the, are you looking at the diagram in the office? Is Yitzi there? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we have it up. Oh, you have it up. Good. Okay. So if you look at the diagram, you see that if you carve out the place where the Eruv is, together with the basket, you'll together have an area of 4 tfachim by 4 tfachim. So the basket's necessary to give you a significant enough place. So one more time, Hilkach, ilav kilkala, had it not been for the basket, leka Eruv agay makam arba, el kilkal mishumas arba. So, but rather what happens is that the basket completes it to be 4 by 4. Okay, so number 1, it's called chaykin lahashlim, right? Okay, so now we're going to get into the details of what you need to make this case a valid case, because right now you're going to say it's magic. The basket's not 4, the branch is not 4, so the twain shall never meet. And how in the world do you have a place that's choshev when you have 2 different entities? Teretz is, if I adopt Rav Meir's imagine. Well, I don't know if it really matters. The bottom line is, it's got to be, if it's a trunk, it's got to be very small, narrow trunk, less than 3 tfachim. I mean, less than 4 tfachim. What, the diagram shows the trunk of a tree? Okay, I mean, I don't. It doesn't matter. I mean, I don't think it would make a difference. Maybe just easier to have a vertical tree, like a pole, right? It looks like a telephone pole. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Yitzi just sent it to me now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's fine. Right. So I mean, right, but it logically needs to be vertical in order to allow you to connect the base of the basket to the base. To continue through the tree. Otherwise, it probably would be pretty hard to get that going. Let me just open it up a little bit. Right. Okay. I mean, you could have a branch 10 tefachim more than. I mean, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you can find a branch going upwards from the tree, you'd have the exact same halacha. It wouldn't change whether it's the trunk of the tree or whether it's a branch of the tree. It's the same idea. So 1 second.
So how is it that two separate entities can be combined to make it 4 tefachim wide?
That's why you came today. Okay, to learn that you can. That's where imagination kicks in, because Rav Meir holds. Remember those diagrams he saw by the mezuzah where you didn't really have the shear, but you carved it out to create the shear.
Sort of. Yeah. The archway. Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Right? So you're doing the same thing over here. Just instead of carving out the archway to create the proper distance, you're carving out the basket into the tree to create, an imaginary surface of 4 tefachim to where the basket is to where the challah is resting upon. Right now, yeah.
The tree trunk or the pole is hollowed out.
Yes.
Make it one.
Well, yeah. Don't you see? You see those arrows with the 4. Right, so that's what you're imagining. You're imagining that the bottom of the basket continues and gets hollowed out into the tree, that you have a surface of 4 tefachim.
And what's the matter with not imagining that or imagining it? What's wrong with that?
No. Well, you don't like it because it's not practical. I mean, we're not living in the Twilight Zone. That's why you didn't like it. But the reason why we like it is because Rav Meir holds it's halachah Moshe Sinai, and you're allowed to do that. And by doing that, you now validate the Eruv. Because if you look at the two separate entities, the Eruv is not a valid Eruv. It's not sitting on an area 4x4. But by carving it out, you now have the challah resting on a chashuv, a place called 4x4.
Right. But we don't accept that.
No. Well, who says we don't? Rebbe is using that concept. No, we do accept it. We're saying that's what we're using, because Rebbe said the basket does work. Rebbe said the case of the basket does work. So how does it work? It works because I adopt this concept of chokikin lahashlim. Okay, let's do the top Rashi, because we're going to have a little bit of an issue. So you see, it's a big Rashi. So let's see the Rashi. The Savalak Rav Meir the Omar Gabe Kipa Perak Kama Chokin Lahashlim, by the archway there. Umiyu Rishus Yachid Gemura Lahave. However, you got to be careful, because if you're carving it out, then why isn't it 4 tefachim by 10 tefachim? And it's 10 tefachim high, 4 tefachim flat surface. And why don't we say the walls come down and it becomes walls all around, and it's a Rishus Yachid, right? Because you can't have your cake and eat it too. I mean, you can't like look at it that you have a flat surface and now you don't have a Rishus Yachid. How did you work that out? Okay, so Rashi is now going to explain how do we pull off this shtick not to consider it a Rishus Yachid. If you're carving it out, let it be a Rishus Yachid. Okay, so 1 second. Yeah, right. So he says like this. So Umiyu, one more time, second line of Rashi. Umiyu Rishus Yachid Gemur lo have kiven the aim betachtisa shel Elon Rochav Dalid. So I don't know why the diagram doesn't seem to show this, but he says that the thickness of the tree is not on its bottom 4. I mean, I guess it does, because the width of the tree is only 3, right? It connected with the basket to make it 4. So since the tree itself is not 4, okay, he says, 1 second. Avgav the Baroshi Rochav Arba. Okay, even though in its top it is 4, the Kakala Mashim Asara, because the basket completed it to make it 4x4. Lo Yaver Rishus HaYachid Elam Kein Maschil Yos Rochav Arba Mitoch Gimel Hasmuchim Karka. Here's the key. You have to have it 4 wide in reality within 3 tefachim of the ground. The Achamina Bazorik, because this is what we say in the 8th parak of Shabbos, right? I'm sure you remember it well. Gabe Butsinaisa de Meshon. Remember those boats, those Meshon boats? Vehein Svinos, those were these narrow tip canoes. Shashuleim Chodim. Their bottoms came to a pointy tip. Vein b'shleim rochav dalet. In that bottom of that boat, which came to a point that was not 4 tefachim wide. And as the boat, you went higher and higher on the boat, it widened out to become very wide. But on the bottom, you didn't have it wide enough to be considered 4x4. Okay, umechitzasan gavoas yud. Okay, and the mechitzas are 10 high. The loch is ein metatel behen ela arba amos. Even though it's a big boat and it's 10 deep, okay, and the walls are 10 tefachim high, you cannot carry in it. Only 4 amos. You can't view it like a little house where you can carry throughout the entire house. Why not? The lav rishus yachid ninu, because it's not rishus yachid. V'avagav degvoyim asara v'chavim abra milamaylo. Even though they're 10 high and 4 wide, higher up on the boat. Since in the bottom, as a canoe narrows, there is not 4. Okay, it's not considered shus yachid. You need the base to be 4 wide. And here's so too by the tree. Time mishum hachihu. That's the same reason why it's not considered shus yachid to prohibit carrying. It's still considered a guess what is it? Is a makam patur. It's a makam patur. He says, 1 second. What is it? It's no. It can't be. No, it's a carmelis. It's not a makam patur. It's a carmelis because it's 4x4 on top, but it doesn't have the basic. It doesn't have the walls. So you view it as a carmelis. And again, we would rely on Rebbe to carry from a carmelis since it's only rabbinic ben hashmashos. It would work. The teda shezeh otam. And I'll prove to you that this is the logic of why Rebbe says what he says. I'm sorry. Okay, since later on the Gemara is going to introduce another confusing aspect. It's hard to imagine that this Gemara could be more confusing, but believe it or not, the Gemara will throw in more variables into the mix to make it one of the more memorable Gemaras in all of Eruvin. So the Gemara is going to say soon that this halacha does not fit into Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. And we brought in exactly on this same issue Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda on this very same point. So you see that the two issues are connected. That when it tips, it narrows to the bottom, then it does not work. So is there a diagram to this, or it's not really a diagram?
It's the metal picture. It's on the same.
It's the same. 1 second. Let me go back. What number? 21? No. 20.
In the middle, between the boat.
Oh, that's shkayach. But so let's go. But I'm talking about the tree. So the point is, I guess, right? The tree. I guess let's go back. Let's just look at the tree case, right? So I would have asked, like, why can't the walls of the basket come down? But Terry says you don't do that. In other words, you have to have. Yeah, okay. You have to have it thick. That's Rebbe's position, right? Not everyone agrees with that. I mean, I guess we'll learn Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. We'll see not everyone agrees. They say that you can bring the walls down, even though it narrows in the bottom, you can still bring the walls down and create walls for yourself. But that's a machlokas between Rebbe and Yossi bar Yehuda. Okay, so right now, the first...
Don't we only put the down over water?
Say it again, what?
Right.
In other words, let's look at the boat case for a minute. You could argue that what's Rebbe talking about? Bring where it gets 4 wide, bring the up on top where it goes straight down, straight. Bring those walls straight down, and that should be, and let the boat be considered rishus yachid with those walls. Teretz says there are actual walls that narrow, and those actual walls, sort of prevent any other lumdus coming in. So over here too, you need actual walls. You need to have real walls that come down, otherwise it doesn't count. That seems to be Rebbe's position.
So in other words, in some cases, if there are no walls, you imagine the walls exist. In this case, there is this curved boat thing pointing. Therefore, since you can't you have a structure you can't imagine.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it could be that Rebbe holds it. You can't imagine it at all. If you want to bring walls down, then you have to. They have to go all the way to the floor, because in the case of the basket, why wouldn't you bring the walls of the basket down? Teretz says maybe you can't bring them down if it's too small in its own right. It's got to be. Yeah, well, I mean, right now let's just say it this way: that right now you need real walls. I think let's assume Rebbe's position is like that, and then we'll deal with it as we proceed. It could be Rosh Yehuda adopts the imaginary concept, and Rebbe does not. Let's see, because right now what we're saying, it sounds like Rebbe does not buy into the whole idea of good asik. This whole idea that walls could come down. Because if walls can come down, why wouldn't the walls of the basket come down, and why wouldn't the walls of the boat come down? But let's see.
Well, the boats floating, in all the cases of the boats, we never had the walls come down to the bottom of the...
It's not. No, we did because we mentioned another opinion. Sure, we did. If there was enough space higher and you had 10 tefachim of real wall, why wouldn't you bring the walls straight down?
Straight down to the bottom of the water.
Yeah, right, and make it into Rishus Yachid. So well, let's see. There's more to learn. There's more confusion to be out here. So let's not. Okay. Right. Exactly. Let's not limit. Let's not limit the. Yeah. Okay. So 1 second. Let's just wrap up this, and we're gonna have to pick this up Sunday morning. Hopefully, my eyes will be open. Let's see here. So. Yeah. So he holds like Rabbi Yossi Lagabi Chaykin Lahashlim, and like Rav Meir. Rabbi holds like Rav Meir when it comes to Chaykin Lahashlim, and he holds like Rabbi Yehuda that you need 4x4. Look at the next Rashi. Without the basket, that's the point. You can't combine the basket. That was Rabbi Yehuda's position. Again, Rabbi Yisrael Rav Meir, Rav Yehuda. Rav Meir Dama Chaykin Lahashlim. Rav Yehuda Dama Binam Roy Erev Al Gabi Mokum Arba Veleka. Okay, Veleka, and you don't have it. I mean, that's Rabbi Yehuda's position, but here he says you do have it. Velav, that's weiter. 1 second. Okay, my Rabbi Yehuda. Let's just read Rabbi Yehuda, and then we're gonna have to call it a day. So my Rabbi Yehuda, what's this Rabbi Yehuda's halacha that you need a place 4x4 for the Erev? The Tanya. We learned in the Brisa, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Noatz Korah b'Shus Harabim. You stuck a beam in Rishus Harabim, V'niach Eruvo Aleh, and you put your Erev on top of that beam. Gvaya Yud V'ruchav Adalet. If the top of the beam is 10 tefachim high and 4 tefachim wide, Eruva Erev, then it's a good Erev because you're sharing the space. V'yimlav Ein Eruva Erev. Okay, and if not, the Erev is not a good Erev. So clearly, you see that you cannot make a valid Erev if you don't have 4x4. Now the Gemara is going to question this in a moment, that why, if it's above 10, why is it good? It should be in a separate domain, but we'll pick that up on Sunday. So at least let's stop here. Well, at least we understand Rabbi Yehuda's position. Rabbi needed Rav Meir and he needed Rabbi Yehuda, and these two halachas together will get him the halacha that why the basket is good, because he carved it out, and I guess the point is he needed to carve it out to fulfill Rabbi Yehuda's halacha that you need 4x4, because if you didn't hold like Rabbi Yehuda, you wouldn't have to have carved it out. So the carving is required, because you also hold like Rabbi Yehuda, and we will pick this up as Hashem Sunday morning. Have a good Shabbos. Okay, bye-bye.
That was shorter than usual.